Let's get a quick summary. Try and keep it pithy because there's so many rabbit holes to go down here, Caroline. Obviously, you're the president of the West Australian Liberal branch, but nothing much happened for you guys over there.
No, which when you look at some of the carnage in the rest of the country is almost a relief. Look, we did take a fair bit of our medicine last time, and look, from an organisational point of view, you know, I think we pre-selected candidates well, we fundraised well, and we ran good grassroots campaigns. We also ended up with the smallest 2PP swing against us in the country, 0.6%. And WA is the only state, actually, Chris, where the Labor primary went backwards. So there, from the WA point of view and of the things that we could influence, you know, given what has happened elsewhere in the country, you're not happy with that position, but you're almost grateful that that's what it was. But, you know, and it's been trolled over plenty. There just wasn't enough really visionary policy at the top for us to be able to sell on the ground.
Well, yeah, look, it's a hell of a shock. There's lots of angles on this, Gemma, but I know you were with our mutual good friend Nicole Flint, former federal MP, looking to get back. You would have seen the personal side of the hope, the hard work and the hope, and then nothing.
Yeah, I will say this, and I say this having been courted for a political career over the years. I mean, I'm a woman, I'm Italian, kind of makes sense, tick all the boxes, but I genuinely have great respect for people who put themselves on the line. And as Nicole did, to remind our viewers, she never lost Boothby. She retired from Boothby and had unfinished business, I suppose. And just to see how hard, she couldn't have worked any harder. And on a personal level, obviously she's a dear friend and I love and respect her. But watching that play out, it's the first time I've been that close to a campaign at the coalface on an election night, and watching that swing across the country. I didn't see it.
No, and no matter how much hard work someone like her puts in, you're swept aside by other something that Trump says on the other side of the world, or the fact that there's a very popular premier in South Australia, Peter Malinauskas, and all the rest of it. Just going on to the individuals, I was always looking for a little bit of hope. We never thought that Labor would lose this election, thought they might go into minority. But I always was hoping that some of the Teals would suffer some damage, because I think they're a fraudulent movement, and because I think some of them have fanned the flames of anti-Semitism in this country. And on Saturday night, it wasn't too good. All the Teals were looking celebratory. Here's Zoe Daniel in Goldstein.
This has been incredibly difficult, really hard. But we did it.
Yeah, as good as claiming victory there, Gemma, but it looks like she's probably going to lose that seat.
I had a moment yesterday when I saw Tim Wilson. He tweeted a picture of Ted Lasso pointing to the Believe sticker or Believe sign above his office. If you're a Ted Lasso fan, you know what I'm talking about. Look, I like you know, take the Climate 200, Simon Holmes have caught money away from the Teal candidates and they don't exist. So please tell me how they're not a party. Of course they're a party. Anyone, it's a duck, it quacks like a duck, swims like a bloody duck, it's a duck. So I'm hopeful that Zoe Daniel will bite the dirt, and I'm hopeful that Monique Ryan, who I saw today has rescinded her victory speech, will also bite the dirt, because they're cocky, they're entitled, and they're actually, they offer nothing. And I saw the member for Curtin, who, you know, Cara probably said has a better read on that seat, but she certainly didn't romp it in. No. She definitely didn't romp it in, but she's saying in the AFR, oh, you know, the Teals can still, you know, influence Labor agenda. I mean, Fantasy Island, love.
That's the great thing.
You're actually irrelevant.
They are. The Teals are officially irrelevant and on the way down, so that's good news. The other good news is maybe the Greens are on the way down too, with Adam Batt actually fighting to keep his seat. If he loses it, I hope it's because people were disgusted by what he said and done on Israel. I'll show you again this little clip where somebody caught him out.
I'm Zach and this is Adam. Hi Zoe, happy birthday Zoe. Let's say together, I've demonised the Jewish community for my own political gain.
There's a good little ambush, wasn't it, Caro? Your take on the Teals and the Greens?
So I think in relation to the Greens, we've definitely seen them pegged back this election, and I think that is just good for the whole country. I think there's a lot of people who, you know, in the past have protest voted the Greens or thought they were like cute, fluffy environmentalists, and in the last term we have just seen what rancid ferals they are. So I'm glad that there are electoral consequences for people like the Greens, because so far they have carried on as if there are no electoral consequences. Insofar as the Teals are concerned, look, it will be interesting to see what happens in both those seats, but also Bradfield up in New South Wales, a seat that was held by the Coalition, which is on a knife edge. And it's really interesting to watch the way the postals are breaking, and that's why those victory speeches have been rescinded, because postals, particularly in Kooyong and Goldstein, have broken very heavily to the Coalition against the Teals. They are irrelevant. And in a seat here like Curtin, what I will say, and people always talk about how much money gets spent on these campaigns, what I will say is the money that was spent in Curtin was raised in Curtin by the Liberal campaign.
Not
the
by
money
the
that was
Teals,
spent in the Teal campaign, most of the big money came out of the eastern states.
Yeah, spot on. Thanks for... look, we've just got time for a quick word from you, Gemma, just on personnel. Apart from all the issues on policy and whatever, the Libs need to attract higher. They need to get people like you. They need to win those arguments.
Why do you hate me? No, and I do agree with that. I think they need to do the work. And as a Liberal voter, they didn't do the work. I'm going to vote for them because I ideologically believe Conservative is a better pathway, but they did not do the work, and that is lazy, and they got belted for it.
Thanks, Gemma. Thanks, Caro.